today we're continuing our Everything Grows series. Just a reminder, in this video series you will learn how to start and take care of your very own garden in 8 weeks. That's 8 videos, 1 video per week, 8 minutes per video. We'll be covering everything you need to know about having a garden, garden basics, starting seeds, pest control. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about what we'll be exploring today in week 3. Our question today is what plants will grow best in our Alaskan gardens? We will start off with a writing activity to help us determine what vegetables we are excited about having in our gardens. We will also explore how different it is to garden in Alaska while playing a matching game. We'll also get outside for a bit and do some cool exercises. Let's take 10 minutes to write down some ideas that will help us decide what we are going to plant in our gardens. Pull out your garden notebooks and answer these 2 questions. You can write and draw to give your brainstorming some creative flair. What are 5 vegetables or fruits that you like to eat? Do you think these vegetables would grow well in Alaska? Take 10 minutes to write down your ideas and answer the questions. Make sure to pause the video and come back when 10 minutes is up. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you were able to think of at least 5 vegetables that you like to eat and make some predictions about how well they would grow in Alaska. I wrote down broccoli, tomatoes, spinach, potatoes, and pineapple. I drew some little pictures next to each one because, honestly, I'm a little hungry. To help us determine what vegetables or fruits on our list that we are actually going to be able to grow in Alaska, we're going to play a matching game that gives us some insight into how growing in Alaska is different from growing elsewhere. For our game, we're going to be comparing 2 different places. First, Alaska. Because Alaska is so big, we're going to be focusing on the Mat-Su Valley. Because Alaska is so big, the weather is different everywhere. We're going to be comparing our Alaska place to South Carolina, which is where I'm originally from. We're going to be looking at the upstate of South Carolina. If you look on this map, you can see just how far away Alaska is from South Carolina. Wow. For our game, we're going to be concentrating on one specific season of growing, summer. Now let's take a look at what we're going to be studying and matching. Average temperature, average hours of sunlight in a day, groundwater temperature, and soil temperature. Take a look at the diagram I drew in my garden notebook and draw the same in yours. This diagram is what we'll be using to match things up in. Each large circle represents a state, so write South Carolina in one and Alaska in the other. Each of the small circles connected to the big circles are going to be for the items that we're going to be matching. Pause the video and take a couple minutes to copy this in your garden notebook. Let's look at an example of how the matches are going to come up on the screen. First, you're going to see the item. Then you're going to have 2 different bubbles with different items in them that you have to match to either Alaska or South Carolina. Let's do one together. What we're looking at, size of the state. So our options are bigger and smaller. Which state do you think is bigger and which state do you think is smaller? Here we match up that Alaska is much bigger and South Carolina is smaller. Now it's your turn. If you need more time trying to figure out the match, just pause the video. Let's review our matches. Our first item was temperature. The correct answers were Alaska 60 to 80 degrees and South Carolina 70 to 90 degrees. As someone who has lived in both states, I can say that there is a huge difference in temperature during the summer. Sometimes South Carolina gets up to 100 degrees. Isn't that crazy? Outside temperature is super important when growing plants because if plants become too hot or cold, they may not grow as well. Our second item was number of hours of daily sunlight. If you live in Alaska, then you know that the summer months get so much sunlight. We wake up and go to sleep when the sun is still out. So you should have matched up the 20 hours of sunlight with Alaska and the 12 hours of sunlight with South Carolina. Sunlight is important for plants because it helps them in the process of photosynthesis, which is a way of converting energy into food for plants to grow big and strong. The third item in our matching game was groundwater temperature. Why is water temperature so important when growing plants? Plant roots are sensitive. They like their water to be a certain temperature. If it is too hot or too cold, it can cause the plants stress and even damage them. Think about a time when you ate something super cold, like ice cream. Maybe it gave you a headache or made your teeth hurt because it was so cold. This is how plants feel. For this match, you should have matched up the 30 to 42 degree Fahrenheit with Alaska and the 57 to 62 degree Fahrenheit with South Carolina. When using water for your garden in Alaska, sometimes it is necessary to let the water sit in the sun to warm up before using it on your plants. We'll talk more about the importance of water in relation to our gardens in week 5. The last item in our game was soil temperature. Soil temperature is very important because healthy soil is one of the main things that helps our gardens thrive. If soil is too hot or too cold, it can affect the way nutrients from the soil travel through the roots to all parts of the plant, causing them to become damaged or even die. The soil temperature that matches up to Alaska is 64 degrees, and the soil temperature that matches up to South Carolina is 85 degrees. That's a huge difference. So from our activity, what did we learn about growing plants in Alaska? Well, we learned that Alaska is colder than other places during the summer, which means the plants that we grow must like cooler weather. Alaska also gets a lot of sunlight, which means the plants that we grow must like lots of sun. In Alaska, there's colder groundwater, so we must make sure our water is warm enough when we water our gardens. Alaska also has colder soil, which means we must make sure our soil is warm enough when we're working it to get our gardens ready. Did you guys hear that? I thought I heard... That pesky Clyde always interrupted me to drop nuggets. At least they're helpful growth nuggets. Go ahead and get up. It's time to get outside. Today's activity is 3 laps around your house. Make sure to pause the video. Ready, set, go! Wow, I am out of breath. Let's get back to our lesson. Let's go back to our list of 5 vegetables or fruits we made. I wrote down broccoli, tomatoes, spinach, potatoes, and pineapple. Out of those 5, we're going to pick 3 to focus on today to see if we'll be able to plant them in our Alaskan garden. We're going to do some research about each plant to determine if it will be successful in our gardens. The first one I'm going to pick is pineapple. I love pineapple. It's such a great fruit and is just the right amount of sweet for me. Plus it's yellow, and I love yellow because it's bright just like the sun. Pineapples are a tropical fruit, which means they like hot weather and really high temperatures. I think that's going to be a no for pineapples in our garden because Alaska does not get hot enough for pineapples. Bye, pineapple. The second one I'm going to look at is broccoli. I love broccoli because it absorbs so much flavor when you cook it in things like soups and sauces. Plus it's green and my favorite color is, you guessed it, green. Broccoli likes plenty of sun and temperatures between 40 and 70 degrees. Wow, that's 2 things right there that Alaska has. I guess that means we can grow broccoli. Hooray! The last one we're going to look at is spinach. Spinach is so yummy because it can go in so many things. Sandwiches, wraps, eggs, soups, pasta. You can use it for every meal. Spinach loves cooler weather, just like broccoli. It also likes shorter days. So here is one that has one of the items needed for Alaska, but Alaska has really long days during the summer. This doesn't mean we can't grow spinach. It just means we'll have to grow spinach either in the early summer or in the fall when the days are shorter. We will keep that one on our list. Now it's your turn to do some research on your list of vegetables and fruits. Our research questions are, what weather does your vegetable grow best in? How much sunlight does your vegetable need to grow? And will your vegetable grow well in Alaska? Pause the video here to recreate this table in your garden journal. This is going to help us answer all of the questions we need about our vegetables or fruits. Let's plug one in together. We have broccoli. Broccoli likes dry weather. Broccoli also likes cool temperatures. And broccoli likes lots of sunlight. So will it grow in Alaska? Yep, it will. With some permission from a parent, go online and use these questions and this table to help you figure out whether your 5 vegetables or fruits will grow well in Alaska. Take 20 minutes or even longer if you need it, and go research your vegetables. Pause the video here. Make sure to come back when you're done. Next week we will begin our garden map. We'll also figure out what tools and supplies we need for our garden. I want you to think about these questions. What tools would help you in a garden? Will you need different supplies for a container garden versus an in-ground garden? Also, do you already have gardening supplies? Write down these answers in your garden notebook for next week.